This situation happened when I was 40 years old. My name is Emily. My friends and family have always told me that I am beautiful, and I tend to agree. I've never been married, but I've dated a lot of guys. Moreover, I still go on dates. Most of my connections have been made on a dating site. It's an interesting way to meet people, and I've had my share of adventures, both good and bad, thanks to the site. I love the excitement of meeting a new person and the anticipation that comes from meeting in person after weeks or even months of hooking up. I once met a man with whom I had been exchanging messages for months. We chatted almost every day, talking about our lives, interests, and dreams. Our conversations were filled with humor and warmth, and it felt like we had a real connection, even though it was exclusively online. After 6 months of dating, he suggested we meet in person at a cozy restaurant in a neighboring town. He even booked a car for me to make me feel comfortable and taken care of. I agreed. I was excited to finally meet the person I'd been communicating with all this time, and I was excited to see if our connection would be the same when we met in person. As I pulled up to the restaurant, I saw a tall, dark-haired man behind me with a large bouquet of flowers. My heart raced. He looked exactly as I had envisioned him. Walking up to him, I said, "Good evening, my stranger. I'm Emily." He turned and handed me the bouquet, but before he could say a word, I interrupted him. "David, is that you? What are you doing here?" David was my best friend's husband. I couldn't believe that I had been unknowingly socializing with him for 6 months already. My head was spinning, and I felt shocked, confused, and even excited. "Emily, calm down. Let's sit down," he said, motioning me to a chair and sitting down himself. I sat down, still trying to comprehend what was happening, my hands shaking slightly as I placed the bouquet on the table. David began to explain, pretending that nothing strange had happened. "You don't know this, but I've been in love with you for a long time. You were the one who turned me down years ago. I wondered for a long time if I should get involved with you, but I saw you dating others, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. My wife and I haven't been together for a long time. I don't love her, and she knows it." It was shocking, but I realized that I'd been thinking about him all these years too, often regretting my decision to turn him down. Some part of me had always wondered what might have been if I had said yes then. As the evening went on, we laughed and talked. He was one of the best conversationalists I had ever met, and talking to him seemed so natural. The way he looked at me, the way he listened, it was like he really saw me. The restaurant was warm and cozy, and as the evening went on, I found myself relaxing and enjoying his company more and more. When it was time to part, David offered to walk me out. I agreed and then added, "Maybe you'd like to come over to my place for a cup of coffee? You have a long drive ahead of you." He agreed, and we entered my house. There was anticipation in the air between us, and I could feel my heart pounding as I opened the door and ushered him inside. "You have a beautiful home. You've always been talented at decorating," he said, following me into the kitchen while I made drinks. I smiled, feeling the warmth of his compliment overwhelm me. He watched me, keeping his eyes on me, and then he moved closer and gently placed his hand on my shoulder. His touch sent shivers down my spine, and I turned to look at him. Our eyes met for a moment, and it seemed to last forever. David turned me to face him and lifted me up by the waist. He took everything off the counter and started pulling my dress off, holding me gently in his arms. His lips were gentle but insistent, and I felt myself melting into him. We did it right in the kitchen. You know the drill. It was unrivaled. The brain exploding with pleasure, the intensity, the feeling of finally giving myself over to what had been simmering beneath the surface for so long. It was everything I'd imagined and more, and I doubt it would be the last time. Afterward, we sat together on the kitchen floor, cuddled up and talked about everything and nothing. It felt right to be around him, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly happy. There was no guilt or doubt, just the two of us, together in that moment. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more.